and welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Drops of Wellness Wisdom with Dorothy and Joy. I hope you enjoyed my little 80s moment there. I know when I first envisioned starting a podcast, I kind of was thinking of gearing it towards women of, let's say, a certain age. I don't want to put a number on it, but maybe in the 40 plus age group, being one of those women. And I think that we have been sold a bill of goods as to what that's supposed to look like. So I'm kind of passionate about maybe changing that conversation. When Joy and I got started, we kind of seemed to be gearing towards just general wellness, which is great. I love that too. But I kind of wanted to revisit my original theme for today and talk about something that I think is super important for women of a certain age, and that is staying strong. I know so many of my clients and women I talk to, they've been told by whomever that they need to start taking it easy, start protecting your joints, time to slow down a little. And I can tell you, as both a personal trainer and somebody who's 68 years old, that is absolutely the opposite of what we want to be doing as we get older. It's super important to lift heavy things. We need to stay strong, and it's crucial for maintaining our health and vitality as we get older. So I kind of wanted to share a little bit about that with you and maybe give you some tips on things you can do at home. But ultimately, unless you have a gym in your house like I do, you're going to need to find a source of heavy weights. If you don't have them in your house, you may need to buy a gym membership, because lifting heavy things is going to be key as we get older. There are some things you can do at home, particularly if you're just getting started. You don't need to lift the super heavy weights. The lighter weights will start that process of building muscle.
Not all exercises are suitable for everyone. As with any exercise program, if at any point during your workout you begin to feel faint, dizzy, or have physical discomfort, you should stop immediately. You are responsible for exercising within your limits and seeking medical advice and attention as appropriate. Now back to Dorothy.
So again, one of the best ones is, of course, the squat, because what bigger muscles do we have in our body than our glutes and hamstrings and all those lower body muscles? So start with something like a squat. So if you're brand new and you're maybe a little uncomfortable with a squat, find a chair, get a chair, or even your sofa or something, and you can just stand back to the chair. I thought I had chairs down here, but I don't. And just sit on the chair and lift yourself up. And then as you get stronger, don't ever do more than, like, I'd say 8. Once you can do 8, that's time to progress to another weight level. Then maybe start to do it without the support of a chair and just kind of do some squats. Just like throughout the course of your day. 8 squats, take a break, 8 more squats. Once you can do those, then maybe, I don't know, if you have children or grandchildren, grab a child, do some squats, or grab a bag of, I hope you don't have a 5-pound bag of sugar, but if you do, grab it. Just grab something that weighs more and do some squats. And as you get stronger, add more weight. Just being careful to pay attention to your body and how it feels. So squats are really a great place to start. Another thing, if you want to do upper body, is, let me just put this down a little bit, push-ups. Push-ups are the classic upper body workout. So it's important to maintain strong core, nice straight body. I'm going to start on the floor here. If you're just starting out, I will show you some adjustments you can make, but you want to make sure you're nice and straight, tucking your pelvis under, none of this, nice and straight, elbows tight to your side. You don't want to take your hands out to the side like this. That's very, very hard on your shoulders. You bring your hands in, elbows to your side, nice and slow, and press. If you can't do that, and that's okay, a lot of women can't, find a wall. Do it on a wall. Again, elbows nice and tight. Push up. Again, if you can do 5 to 8, then decrease the incline. Just keep decreasing the incline until you can do about 5 to 8. Eventually, you'll be surprised at how quickly you can get down to the floor. I know a lot of people talk about push-ups on the knees. None of my clients are allowed to do that. It changes the mechanics of the shoulder angle. So if you can't do floor, just take the angle of the whole body up against the wall. Oh gosh, that put me a little bit out of breath, just a little. Another really, really good one is if you've ever used kettlebells. I know they've become all over the internet. I've been using them for, I don't know, I'm going to say 30 years probably. So I've been using them for quite some time, but they've seemed to have become kind of the new. Oh, and BT dubs, these, chuck 'em, just chuck them. Let your grandchildren play with them. They are no good. This is not what we want to be using. Kettlebells are a really great tool, and one of the best things you can do with them is the kettlebell swing. And I've seen on the internet so many videos of the kettlebell swing, and it horrifies me sometimes. How dangerous they are. They just, so many people think they know what they're doing and they don't. And I've learned from some of the original kettlebell people. So I'm not going to say I have all the answers or do it always perfectly right, but I have a foundation in the kettlebell swing. So my best advice here, I will demonstrate that for you just because, but my best advice for you for all of this, hire a trainer. Just if you're starting out, if you're not familiar with lifting heavy weights, you could hurt yourself if you're not sure about your form or how to do an exercise or how to make progressions. So hire a trainer, at least buy enough sessions so that they can get you started on your form and a program for advancement. So it's totally worth it. You're worth it to take the time and the expense to hire a trainer. But let me just show you quickly, in case you've been trying to do the kettlebells, let me show you how to correctly do a kettlebell. I'll face sideways, so I'll start this way. You want the kettlebell 18 inches or so in front of you. Okay, hinge back, hinge back, hinge back, grab the kettlebell in the corners of the handles. You're going to pull away like you're trying to break open the handle of the kettlebell. Tilt it back towards you. And then what you're going to do is you're going to hike it back. And this is not a lift. Like when you go to the gym, they'll say, don't use momentum. And that's true. But that is not true with a kettlebell swing. You want to use the momentum with the power of your hips. So you're going to snap that kettlebell up. So you're grabbing it. You're trying to pull the top of the kettlebell apart. You're going to hike it back and then snap your hips. So hike, snap, hike, snap. And it shouldn't go any further than shoulder height. One from the side, 18 inches or so ahead of your shoulders, packed down tight into the power is coming from your hips, not from your arms and shoulders. It's snap. And that's a kettlebell swing. So that's pretty much all I can really show you in this little podcast. Again, I highly recommend hiring a trainer and getting started on lifting heavy weights because it's really, really important as we get older. So I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to go join Joy up in my office and we'll be right back. Hi, Joy. Here we are again. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode about strength, which is something I feel so passionate about. So how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back. And, it was great to see that demo. Thank you for showing us. I actually use kettlebells now in the class I'm taking, and it's helpful to see that demonstration. I have a really good trainer, and you gave good advice to get a trainer. So I've been doing this class for a few years. I really like the strength part of it, and I've made friends, so it's just a neat way to get your routine in. But I want to ask some questions about women at our age. I like that you were focusing on that because I too hear about women thinking, oh, just losing muscle is just part of growing older, and that's just how it is. But we need it, don't we? We need to get our muscles and keep our muscles. Women will, might say they're afraid of jumping in. They don't want to hurt themselves or things like that. What do you want to say to that?
I would say a bad word if this weren't like a podcast. And I know, but that's absolutely the absolute opposite of good advice. As we get older, we need to keep our muscle because, as our hormones fluctuate and things change and we're no longer in our childbearing hormonal status, our muscle mass and our bone mass both tend to kind of go away. And I don't know, I'm not okay with that. Personally, I think it's important to stay strong and to maintain all those. Frailty is such a problem for the elderly, not just women, but men too. Frailty is a real problem. And that's a lot of times people get old because they get frail.
Mm,
not so much they get frail because they get old. So I'm going to do everything I can to stay. I want to die young at 120. So
there
part
you
of that
go.
is staying strong and being able to do everyday tasks without troubles. The best way to protect your joints and your body is to use it appropriately, of course. And I
Mhm.
think that's key is to make sure that you're comfortable with appropriate form and things like that so you're not hurting yourself. But is heavy strength training going to hurt women and their joints? Absolutely not.
Well, you hear about people like where we live at least shoveling snow, like so they haven't really done anything lifting all year long, and then they decide to go shovel snow and they get hurt because you have to have proper form when you're doing that too, or just regular chores. I sent you a picture the other day when I got a delivery and the box said contents might be heavy. I'm just happy I don't have to wait for my husband to come home to lift that up. I can lift it up. So I knew we were going to be talking about this today, and it just made me laugh. Like, yeah, we need to lift heavy things in our daily lives, and if we don't lift heavy things, we won't be able to lift heavy things. So I want to know, like, I mean, those are some obvious reasons we need to stay strong, but like, what else would you say as far as our overall wellness, why we need to have strength training?
Well, I think one of the main reasons for me, and is one that's often gets overlooked, but I think the emotional feeling you get from being strong and powerful can't be discounted.
Mm,
I think strength training and being strong and capable makes you feel really good about yourself. And so
mhm.
you kind of move through the world confident because you're strong and healthy. And I think that emotional aspect is at least as important as some of the physical things that you benefits that you can get from strength training. So I don't think that should be discounted at all, that feeling of being strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, I we get meat delivery from a local regenerative farm, and last month I had a huge box of meat, frozen meat. So it was pretty heavy. And the lovely young driver, he brings the box up, and I'm there taking it. And he goes, "It's pretty heavy, ma'am." I'm like, like he didn't think I could lift it. So I'm like, "No problem." And I picked it up, took it downstairs, and he's like, so yeah,
Nice.
that feeling of like it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Of course I'm a farm girl, so I'm used to hucking around 50-pound bales of hay and things like that. But that feeling of being able to deal with these things, I think, is very, very important.
Yeah.
And like I said a little while ago, and avoiding frailty, the frailty of old age is important. If you don't use your muscles, you're not going to be able to use them, and that's where you get yourself in trouble.
Hmm.
And also bone health. I know that a lot of times women are worried about osteoporosis and things like that. And the joke is, I'm going to fall and break a hip. But my understanding is that generally speaking, they're finding that you don't fall and break a hip, you break a hip and then fall
Yeah,
because
I've
your
heard
hip
that.
broke. So the bone health is everything. And it's similar, of course, all these biological processes are very different, but it's similar to muscle strength is when you're lifting muscles and you're creating those micro tears in the muscle. And when your muscle repairs those tears, that's when it grows and gets stronger because it's got more density. Similar thing happens to your bone when you strength train or jump training. I think that's also why I include jump training once or twice a week. That pounding on
Hmm.
your bones, whether it's jumping or lifting those heavy weights, creates little microfractures in your bones, which then the bone has to come and repair and build stronger bones. So you're
Hmm.
maintaining your bone health by lifting heavy things. And I think another important thing is muscle is more metabolically active than other tissue. And I know a lot of times we as older women we bemoan the inevitable weight gain and belly bulge, and we are going to talk about that. I think that's next week. So tune in next week as we
Mm.
conquer the belly bulge in older women
Nice. Good.
topic, the bugaboo of all us women everywhere, most of us, not all of us. But one aspect of that is keeping a lot of muscle so that you're metabolically, your metabolism is always using, your muscles are looking for fuel all the time. So if you don't have a lot of muscle, you're not going to be looking for the fuel. It also helps regulate your blood sugar because, as we talked about before, just going for that little walk after your meals, your muscles are
Mhm.
going to be looking for that sugar. So the more muscle you have, the more sugar it's looking for, the more it's going to help regulate your sugar metabolism. So that's an important thing is just having that metabolically active tissue and just that feeling of self-reliance, which is a little bit different than what I first talked about, but knowing that you can do things yourself and you're not like, you don't need to have your husband or your burly son come and take care of these. I mean, yeah, I have this massive aloe plant that probably weighs over 100 pounds, and I have to wait for my son, or at least my husband, to help me because that's really heavy. But there's not a lot of things that I can't do myself.
Yeah.
So that makes me really happy to be able to deal with these things myself. So I think those are just, there's probably more, but I think those are some of the main benefits to lifting heavy things.
Love it. No, thank you for that outline. That was helpful. I think you mentioned when you were down in your workout room too, like there's some women don't have the weights or the setup. So A, get a trainer to help train you, or B, things like the squats or the push-ups are the things we can do at home, right? If we don't have the weights, or even like probably like you mentioned on the farm, you would lift things, and on my farm with my chicken food that's 40 pounds, I'm lifting that. I don't get out the wheelbarrow every time I carry it, and I carry it like a baby, they say, so you're not bending or hurting your back. So I like to think about that. There's certain things I want to keep being able to do. I want to be able to sit down comfortably. So the squatting really helps. And like in that class I mentioned that I'm in, there's a new student, and we're all trying to really encourage her because we were all the new student once. And here she is, whatever the rep count was going to be, 30 whatever, so whatever we're doing. And she could only do 10. And we're like, that's okay. Do 10, don't not do it. So I think that's something too, to just do the push-ups, do the squats, do whatever you can, and don't get discouraged, or else you'll just not do it. So find a fun way, maybe put on music or whatever, so that you enjoy it.
It's true. It's so true. And yeah, I would totally agree. And the person who's particularly, it can be harder when you're in a group of people. If everybody else is doing the 30, you want to push yourself to do the 30. But I
Hmm.
encourage you to listen to your body.
Hmm.
Um, People in your group are going to be so supportive. They're not going to look at you and say, "You couldn't do the 30." They're going to be
Right.
like, "You can do it. Do your 10 and you'll get better." So don't be afraid of not doing what everybody else is doing. Listen to your body. Also, the music, 100% can be very motivating to keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, squatting, we as humans, we're not designed to sit.
Mm.
We're designed to stand, lay down, and squat. So that I think the squatting, and I think so many people are so afraid of the squat. They've been told for so long that it's going to destroy your knees. It's not. It's done correctly. And again, I can't overemphasize the need for a trainer if you're uncomfortable with lifting or if you've never done it before. But I've been squatting heavy loads for, well, like I said, I'm 68, so 50 years
Yeah.
maybe. I have no knee pain. Okay, full disclosure, every now and then going down the stairs, I have a little tiny twinge in one of my knees, sometimes, but not often. So has it destroyed my knees? No, but I've
Mm.
always been very conscious of my form. Yeah, we need to squat. And I have all my clients, particularly my older ones, one of the things we work on is getting up and down off the floor. That's a really crucial skill for older people.
Mhm.
And squatting is a part of that. So, yeah, you're totally correct, Joy. We need to. And when I say squats, like doing squats is great, but that whole butt to the floor yogi squat is crucial too. It just that flexibility and mobility to be able to just like a kid, like I watch my granddaughters without even thinking about it. If there's something on the ground that they want to look at, they just scooch right down into that yogi squat and then
Yeah.
stand right back up and don't even think about it.
Yeah.
So these are the kinds of skills and movements we need to make sure we maintain as we get older. It's very important. And push-ups are very easy to do at home without any weight. You don't need any tools to do a push-up and to get stronger and stronger. And if you ever get to the point where you can do like 3 sets of 10 on the floor, then you can just put something heavy on your back. But that's a long way in the future, even
Mm.
for me. So, yeah, so upper body strength is much easier to lift heavy than lower body. Squats, you might have to get a little more creative if you're doing them at home because you do, like I did I think, Joy, you know this. For my 68th birthday, I had promised myself I would do a 200-pound deadlift on my 68th birthday, and I did it.
Nice.
200-pound deadlift, which is a squat, only similar, but it's the weights on the floor. And
Yeah.
I don't, this is not good for my shoulders, so I don't really do barbell squats anymore. I'll do like, goblet squats or dead. I love the deadlift. So, but I have all those weights at home. So you may have to get more creative because you do want to lift heavy, heavy weights when you need to build that muscle. Because like walking and all this other stuff is great for your legs, and it's not the same as lifting heavy weights. I'm not
Right.
gonna say it's not good. It's great. It's just different.
And that's your emphasis for today is the weight part. Like I
Exactly.
one woman was traveling that is usually in my class, and she is so dedicated to wanting the consistency that our teacher was able to zoom her in so she could zoom in from her mother's house where she was staying for a little while. And she didn't have any of the tools with her, but she still was doing the stuff, doing the push-ups, doing the squats. And then she didn't have the weights or anything, but she just found something in the house that she could use to
That's
pick up. So
wonderful.
it wasn't quite heavy enough, really. She didn't have 20 pound, but it at least it was something to just keep those muscles alive. So it's good reminders, it's good tips, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Yet again, you're making things simpler. When people overthink, oh my gosh, I have to join a gym, I have to get fancy clothes or whatever. No,
Yeah,
none of
no,
that.
yeah, simple is better because I
Yeah.
know me, if it's things get too complicated, anything, whether it's working out or food or keeping my house tidy or whatever it is,
Yeah.
if it's not simple, I'm probably not going to do it.
Right.
So I like being able to just make things easy and approachable for anybody. But if you are determined to do it all at home, which is great, although there is something to be said for the gym, that camaraderie, like you found in your class, the
Hmm.
camaraderie and community that you find at the gym can be very supportive as well. But if you just want to stay home, that's fine too. You may have to make an investment of some kettlebells or some heavier dumbbells just to really get the weight going on
Yeah.
those lower the legs need the weight. So, yeah.
Good points.
Oh, I know were asking about frequency.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I think it all depends on the individual and their schedule and their enjoyment level. So it's again, just like everything else in the world, it's all individual. As a kind of a general rule of thumb, I like to have people work out, lift weights 3 days a week. I don't do any of like the biceps and triceps. I don't take muscles apart. Me and all my clients do what's more called functional training. I
Yeah.
use my body IRL, like the cool kids say, like in real life, like if I'm gonna put something heavy high on a shelf, or if I'm gonna lift something up from the floor, I use my body, all the muscles working together. If the muscles are designed to work together, they all work together. So you don't have to worry about doing which day is bicep curls and which day is tricep press.
Okay.
You can have an upper body emphasis and a lower body emphasis if you want, or you can just do a full body thing, but you don't need to isolate muscles to work them. So I generally say 2 to 3 days a week of a nice heavy strength day, and then maybe one extra day of really heavy. Like I like to do one day of really heavy deadlifts, and you don't have to do many. Like doing five sets of five, or even 4 sets of five. That's not a lot, but if you're doing them heavy enough, it's enough. And then I like to add that jump training in one day a week too, that we really need that compression. So even if you're going out for a walk, and either if nobody's looking or if you don't care, do some bounding, or do some just
Tipping.
jumping, so keep people guessing, as I always say. So just you don't have to like make a special time for your some of these trainings. You can do them out and about, in your life. So
Okay.
yeah, or if you're even like you were saying, like if you're out shopping and you need that heavy bag of potatoes that's on the bottom shelf, squat down and pick it up. In real life, find ways to add heavy lifting
Yeah.
into your day.
There's always a way, and you start small if you're not used to doing it.
And just one more time, ad nauseum, find a trainer because, again, particularly if you're trying to lift heavy, if you're doing them wrong, that's when you will hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Heavy lifting by itself, done correctly, will not hurt yourself. It will prevent you from hurting yourself. But if you're doing it wrong, that's where you might damage something. So find a trainer. There's plenty of us out there, and we love to help people. So
Yeah.
make that investment in yourself. You're worth it. I wanted just to mention all these weight loss drugs are so they're everywhere. You just
Hmm.
can't take 5 minutes out of your day without hearing it from somewhere or somebody. They're just pervasive. And this is no judgment. This is not anything at all about you should or shouldn't. And I'm not even going to talk about that here today. Um, if you're interested in hearing my thoughts, and again, as in a non-professional capacity, I'm not a doctor, or I don't have any scientific knowledge of it, put a note in the comments and we may readdress it in a future episode. But I did want to say, and this is not speculation, this is what they're finding is the people on these drugs, a lot of the weight loss is their muscle.
Mm.
So this episode is going to be particularly important if you or anybody you know is on any of these medications. Please encourage them or encourage yourself to take up strength training, because even more than other women, people using these medications need to make sure they are maintaining their muscle mass. It's going to be crucial on many levels, not least of which when you're trying to get off them. If you don't have that muscle, like we talked about before, muscle is metabolically active. And if
Hmm.
you're trying to get off these medications and you have no muscle, you're going to just regain all the weight
Yeah.
because you're no, there's nothing in your body using any of the food you're eating. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there because we're talking about strength and gaining muscle, and this is a population that is really, it's really, really important for you to do your strength training.
Thank you
End
for
of rant.
saying that because I think probably what's happening, right, is they're losing their muscle, which means the number on the scale is going down. So they feel like, oh, good, I'm losing weight.
That's why I encourage people to not get on the scale. It's the least important metric in terms of health. And yeah, if your scale's going down and down and down, if you've been overweight for a long, long time, that you're probably so excited to see that scale go down. So you don't think about what is that weight loss consisting of.
Yeah.
And in so many of these people using these medications, it's not, I mean, some of it's fat, sure, but most of it, the actual weight on the scale is going down because they're losing that dense muscle, which weighs more than the fat. So yeah, it's super important on so many levels to do your strength training if you're using these medications.
Yeah, I've been pretty slender my whole life, so I'm lucky and thankful for that. But I saw my scale going up, and I don't even go on the scale very often. And then I was like, oh, good, that means I'm gaining muscle. So when I saw that, so yeah, I don't fixate on that, and I don't think people should.
That's so awesome, Joy, because you are one of the few. Because most women, or most people, but women particularly, because we seem to have more pressure about that than men do, but would see the scale going up and it would ruin their day. So I love that your first thought was, "Yay, I'm gaining muscle." I think
Yay.
that's so awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
And again, it could be just, that could be you hadn't finished digesting your food, or it could be you had more water in your body. So the scale number is
yeah,
just not important.
yeah,
It's just not important. It's how you feel, it's how your clothes fit, it's what you're capable of doing in your day. There's so many more metrics that are
yeah,
more important than your scale.
absolutely. All right, well, thank you for helping us feel good and giving us some helpful tips.
Oh, my pleasure. So my call to action for you out there is I would love to know, those of you who are strength training, what your program looks like, and those of you who aren't, I would love to know what you're interested in trying, and if you need any tips, put them in the comments. I'll see if I can help you out. So,
Great.
well, I would love to know how you're incorporating strength training into your day and into your life. So, that is my scenario for you.
Excellent. Well, thanks again. And thanks everybody for all your likes and subscribes. Keep them coming.
Don't forget to share this episode if you liked it with friends.
Excellent. Good idea. All right. Until next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.